Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about Diabotical. And Diabotical is one of the most recent attempts by developers to bring back the magic that is the arena shooter genre to modern day gaming. Because back in the day, arena shooters were the shit. You know, you had Quake and Unreal Tournament, and you know, there were huge tournaments, huge player bases for those games, and it just seems like in modern day, the arena shooter genre isn't very popular, at least it doesn't appear to be. And I think the main reason why is arena shooters are just really hard to get into as a new player, and so it kind of leaves these dedicated hardcore player bases playing the game that just completely obliterate any new player, preventing them from wanting to keep on playing the game. And, you know, so every year or two a new game comes out that is attempting to, you know, rekindle the magic that is the arena shooter genre, and they all seem to fail for, in my opinion, the same reason or very similar reasons, and that's just the fact that most casual players don't want to play arena shooters. They'd rather play just things like Call of Duty or, Overwatch or Rainbow Six Siege, not complaining about any of those games. They're all great games, but I just think those are the types of games that casual players like to gravitate towards, themselves. But either way, Diabotical is in closed beta. It's having little closed beta weekends, so I wanted to try it out because arena shooters have been one of my favorite genres of all time. And so I went in, I played each game mode that is in the beta right now, at least once or twice, and kind of messed with the customization and everything like that. And I just wanted to give you guys my first impressions from someone that obviously I was not around in the glory days of, Quake and Unreal. I wasn't playing those games when they were in their peak. I was a console gamer, and nothing wrong with that. I just wasn't exposed to this kind of stuff. But since then, I've gone back and played a lot of those games. I was super into Quick Champions back when I thought that was going to be a popular game. And so, I feel like I have a little bit of, kind of experience to talk about some of this stuff. So right off the bat, when you start looking at this game and start playing it, it has a very distinct art style and a very unique kind of theme. And so instead of playing as characters or humans or people, you play as these like egg robots that are just circular or ovular, whatever you want to call it. And at first I thought that was a little weird because I was like, okay, so we're not going to be, it's very different because you just have this huge circle that you're aiming for. So obviously it makes it easier to hit people. But once you start playing, it honestly feels really, really nice and good. And the art style kind of reminds me of Overwatch. It's this really pretty, environment, and all of the maps look very different. And I think that's really, really good. They all have different map designs as well. I really like the way the loadouts are. The movement is what you would expect in an arena shooter, and the guns and weapons are what you would expect from an arena shooter. So you got things like the rocket launcher, the rail gun, the little laser for close range, your assault rifles, shotguns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers. All that stuff is kind of a traditional arena shooter. So the arena shooter gunplay kind of gameplay is just like it would be in every other arena shooter, except you're targeting these egg people. And at first I thought it didn't make much of a difference, but the more I thought about it, I think it does actually really help that kind of new player aspect because it's a bigger target. And so obviously newer players will still be hitting their targets just as much, because whether you were a small little skinny female model of a chick, or you are this giant egg thing, good players will be able to hit you regardless. But if you're huge, that's going to just make it easier for new players to hit you. And so I think it helps kind of lower that skill floor a little bit, which is really important. And you'll hear me talking about a lot of these features just in terms of how I think it will affect newer players, because arena shooters, just like this game, they're arena shooters. All the hardcore player base will pretty much like them as long as they don't mess something up completely. And so I think what's actually important is discussing how this game would be for a new player, because that's what's going to determine if this game is popular or not. So I think the, egg-shaped thing, I think that's actually pretty cool. Along with that is the amazing customization that is in this game. There's all these little stickers for eyes or mouths or just, weird designs that you can put on your little egg robot that makes yours look like yours. And, that way they can kind of have battle passes with, different stickers or different emotes or just all of this stuff. So it's a good way to monetize, and also battle passes and stuff like that are really good for casual players because it gives them something to work towards besides just, improving, because it can kind of be frustrating when you're playing up against all these really good people. And so, I went in, I played all of the game modes at least once, and so I want to talk about all of the game modes at least a little bit. So first off, I played just the 1v1 and the 2v2 mode, so kind of the most traditional arena shooter aspect thing that you can play. And one thing I noticed in just all of these standard game modes is the fact that you just have all weapons unlocked at the very, very beginning. So in some arena shooters, the ones I personally like more are the ones where you start off, like everybody starts off with just a terrible weapon, and you have to go through the map to get more armor and get more ammo and get the weapons. So you probably wouldn't start out with a rocket launcher, but if you were wanting to rocket jump all over the place and just have a rocket launcher, you would have to go find it on the map. And so that would be a huge part of arena shooters, is just the map knowledge, because you have to know where everything is. And in this game, at least in the game modes that are in the game right now, you just start off with everything, with a large amount of ammo of everything as well. So you can kind of just use everything to begin with. And I think for new players that will be a little overwhelming, but overall I think it's actually better, because, you know, when you're going into an arena shooter as a new player, not only do you have to learn the 9 different weapons that are in the game, you also have to learn the maps themselves along with the movement ability as well. So if you don't necessarily have to know the maps as much, because they're just environments to kill people at, and not like where's the rocket launcher on this map, where's the railgun, where is this, where is that, it just takes out a little bit of the learning curve for new players, which I think could potentially be a thing. But as someone that just really loves arena shooters, I kind of miss that, like, building yourself up and getting yourself armor and making sure you were well equipped to actually fight before you fought. And that's, so it's kind of like a hit or miss for me, because I do personally miss it, but I think overall it'll be better for new players. And so besides that, the only thing that's memorable, besides, you know, just because everything is kind of just like an arena shooter, there's not a lot of stuff that stands out in terms of the main combat. But one thing I did really like is on the maps, each map had a bunch of different parts of the map. So kind of like Overwatch, where you have some of those maps that are like 3 maps in one. When you play the 1v1 or 2v2 mode and you go into a map, every round is played on a completely different segment of the map. And I think that's really cool. It helps bring a lot of variety into the game. On top of that, I want to then move on to the like 5v5 kind of main mode. I think that they're trying to, you know, put it off as, and it is actually very interesting. So it's an elimination game mode, but you respawn. So, you know, say you start off with 5v5. When the first person on your team dies, they have like a 3-second, you know, respawn time maybe. And then when the second person on your team dies, they have like a 6-second or like a 7, 8, I don't know the exact number, but just every time someone dies on your team, the respawn time gets even higher. So eventually, if the game's lasting long enough, you could be waiting 60, 70 seconds to respawn. But if you kill everybody on the enemy team, then your team scores a point, and then everybody kind of gets reset. So I think it's really cool, because it doesn't, if you die, you're not out of the game permanently, but it just, you keep having to wait longer and longer and longer. And it's really interesting because, you know, obviously the longer you have to wait, the more likely your team will just get wiped out in the first place. So I think it's a really ingenious game mode that I think is good for new players, because it's kind of like Team Deathmatch, but it has a little bit more depth in it. And I'm actually a big fan of that game mode. One thing being said, though, is you do start off with all of the weapons, which I personally am not a fan of. I like having to, you know, build up yourself in it, but we'll see if they add new game modes in the future, or if they're just taking this approach in the future. We'll have to see. And then the other game modes were these kind of bonus game modes. So there was this one really fun, like, insta-gib mode, where you had these crossbows that insta-gibbed, like, you know, just instantly killed people, and then you had these abilities that your ability would, like, kind of make you go flying, and it was kind of fun to jump around with that, and that was really fun. You then have to, if you kill someone, collect their little coin, so it's kind of like kill confirmed in Call of Duty, except you're insta-gib and flying all over the place, so it's quite fun. And the other mode is like a 1v1 mode, where you both have rocket launchers, and then you obviously have like your melees and stuff like that, but that's pretty fun as well. But these like kind of fun little quirky modes, I think, are going to be what is the most important aspect of the game, surprisingly, for new players. Because, you know, say you're not really good at the traditional game of an arena shooter, you might actually have a lot of fun in that insta-gib mode, where everybody's flying around and shooting these crossbows, and I could see some people enjoying that. And so I know it's kind of weird to talk about an arena shooter in terms of, just casual players, but like I said, I really think what determines if these types of games get popular is if they can actually get a casual player base, and most of these games can't. And I think this game is trying to do it with the lighter art style and, more colors in the maps and stuff like that, and the egg-shaped, customizations and just body size in general. And I think that will help a lot, but personally, for me, I will just have to see how it goes. If it ends up getting popular, I will probably play it because it'll be the popular arena shooter, and I love arena shooters. But if you have played this or just seen gameplay, let me know in the comments down below, especially if you are, I'd love to hear from you if you are a, super huge fan of arena shooters and you're kind of in that hardcore player base. What's your opinion on Diabotical? And also, if you're a new player that maybe hasn't even ever touched arena shooters, what are your thoughts on this game? I'd love to know, because both of those really matter in terms of if these types of games can succeed. But I'll probably talk about this game a little bit more in the future, especially once it gets closer to actually releasing. But overall, if you guys enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out about every, twice a week. I also am working on a review. It's been taking me a little bit longer than I want, but a game called Death and Taxes. There'll be a review for that out in probably the next 2 or 3 days, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys are having a great day today, I hope you continue having a great day. If you guys aren't having a great day, I hope you guys start having a great day. But either way, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. See you guys next time.